guys feel about the new TikTok ban that's looming upon us? It's now days away, and I can't help but feel a certain way about the fact that this is happening a day before Trump takes office. The timing can't be more coincidental, in my opinion. Now, we're being told that the government wants to ban TikTok because they don't want the Chinese government spying on America and Americans. They're worried about all the information that the Chinese government is collecting from this app and from the people who use it. Now, while this sounds like a very worthwhile reason to ban the app, there are concerns about free speech and it inhibiting Americans' free speech. Number one on the amendment list is our freedom of free speech. So the arguments going to the Supreme Court are circling around that idea. But I can't help but feel that there's a bigger reason to our U.S. government wanting TikTok to be banned besides their fear of the Chinese government collecting all of our personal information. Number one being the fact that not only are they collecting our information, but that propaganda is a huge weapon of war. We know how the Germans used it and Hitler used it during World War II. Now, here's an article I found written 2 years ago by Brian Valenzuela, The Weapon of the Century, Contemporary Politics Through the TikTok Algorithm. It's 1 a.m. and you're laying in your bed, phone in hand, scavenging the great depths of social media platform that's already consumed 12 hours out of your 24-hour day. Post after post, eyes almost shut, you continue scrolling through hundreds of videos featuring creator advocating for political and social justice. From the Black Lives Matter movement to the campaign to stop Asian hate, TikTok, a social media platform designed as a mixture of Instagram and Snapchat, has become the prime avenue for political messaging in the 21st century, beating out televised campaigns, advertisement, and other media structures. Consequently, with its foolproof and politically intuitive algorithm distinct from any other, TikTok has become the new and invincible source for the creation of political echo chambers in the 21st century. Key word here being echo chambers. Remember that word, my friends. Now, as soon as creators began deliberately using its algorithm to spread news and rhetoric, TikTok changed the world of political messaging. Do you ever wonder why the videos users see throughout their feeds are always geared towards their likings, even when they do not follow any particular creators? Or why one's For You page is filled with content that aligns exactly with one's political affiliations, even if they do not regularly follow politics? The answer is the TikTok algorithm, which works in accordance with several metrics to gauge users' opinions and effectively transform their feeds into political echo chambers. There's that echo chamber word again. This is very important, my friends. The first phase of TikTok's regime involves monitoring one's in-app activity, user interactions, posts, accounts, one likes, comments on, follows, and each are taken into account in order to create a person's For You page, a customized stream of content tailored exactly to a user's previous interactions. Even when first signing up, TikTok gives users a set of popularized videos on their initial page to obtain their primary set of likings. From the moment one downloads the app, if a user interacts with posts that lean either left or right on the political spectrum of either left or right, their future feed will follow suit. Content information, i.e. posts, captions, sounds, and hashtags, can also be embedded in users into their respective political echo chambers. There's that word again, echo chambers. TikTok monitors the captions and hashtags of each post that one interacts with. So posts that contain captions featuring commentary such as those on Now This Politics, the political page for progressive news outlet Now This News, is leaning to a political party, will affect your For You page later. Device settings, including your location, your language, your device type, and repeated viewership, may also affect, although minimally, the types of videos one gets on their For You page. Regarding the latter, for instance, if a user wanted to view a specific video affiliated with the Democrat Party several times, similar content would likely gain prominence in their feed. It can be argued that the algorithms of all social media platforms create political echo chambers. There's that word again, echo chambers. But TikTok's algorithm does it best. Instagram, for example, works much like that of TikTok's, except when building the Explore page, Instagram only considers a user's followed accounts, the posts that they upload, and the interactions they have with different pages and content. As a result, if Instagram users do not explicitly follow, like, or comment on any politically affiliated accounts, political content will likely not appear in their Explore page. On the other hand, TikTok's algorithm, in addition to traditional metrics, uses subliminal interactions, even the mere length for which one views a specific video, to curate and determine a user's in-app experience based on their political preference is just the first 10 to 15 minutes of using it. The past political rhetoric and campaigns strictly involved posters, billboards, TVs, commercials, and other means that are now redundant and obsolete. TikTok has, however, filled the void, innovating on the strategies that old media first employed. For instance, whereas TV platforms limited political content reach by setting restrictions on what can be shown in commercials, movies, and shows, TikTok places felt no limitations on users' content, thus broadening the accessibility of political rhetoric. Ultimately, TikTok introduces a distinct and new field for politicians and political activists to utilize the echo chambers it creates and spread their beliefs to those who already agree with them. Many have already taken this opportunity. In fall of 2020, for instance, Donald Trump's Tulsa, Oklahoma campaign rally became a victim of TikTok's viral political messaging techniques when a user on the platform uploaded a video, now made private, sarcastically exclaiming that it would be awfully unfortunate if they were to RSVP for Trump's rally event and simply not show up due to outside circumstances. Thanks to the TikTok algorithm, the post was circulated to millions of users who, just like the video's creator, had Democratic political leanings. As a result, many viewers were inclined to act on the post's suggestion to RSVP to the rally they had no intention of attending. With a stadium capacity of 19,200 people and over 1 million people RSVPing to the event, the former President Trump's campaign expected a packed house. On the day of the event, though, he and his team were caught by surprise when he met with rows upon rows of vacant stadium seats, all due to the political messaging and activism conducted through TikTok. Now, from there, I'm going to switch over to this article written in February 4th, same year, 2022, by Mohammed Atari. Moral echo chambers breed radicalization. It has been just over a year since a group of radicalized individuals stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The crucial role of social media in this incident is undeniable. Far-right social media platforms such as Gab and Parler were used to communicate exactly which streets to take in order to avoid police, and some posted about carrying pew-pews into the halls of Congress. Bolstered by former President Trump, far-right groups had organized on their trusted social media networks and invited others to their rightful cause. Eventually, this online activism became real-world violence. My colleagues and I at the University of Southern California delved into social media postings to see if we could find underlying psychological clues to explain what could motivate people to use extreme and violent attacks. A close look at the history of hate crimes and radical groups in our research point to a common ground between them. They all have shared moral vision, that is, adherence to a set of guiding principles that are perceived to be held by all group members. This vision then motivates individuals to use radical or violent strategies to achieve that shared moral vision. In other words, people who are embedded in morally homogeneous environments might develop dichotomous thinking, a friend or foe mindset, a demonstrative tunnel vision, focus all their efforts exclusively on the destruction of the opponents for a sacred purpose. We studied nearly 25 million posts on Gab using advanced computer method for recognizing language usage and found that the more a person's language and their posts align with their group's moral values, the more prone they were to use hateful, derogatory language towards often targeted minority social groups. In other words, we find that the more people that are in morally homogeneous bubbles, the more likely they are to resort to radical means and verbal violence against others, aiming to achieve their prejudicial vision. Studying radicalized networks like Gab is particularly important in order to understand the underpinnings of radicalization. A mainstream network such as Twitter and Facebook began to limit the activity of groups such as QAnon on their platforms. These ideologies have slowly resurfaced in other networks that allowed them to openly call for violence under the guise of freedom of speech. Now, while these are not my thoughts and I don't agree with the thoughts in this article, these are the thoughts of many people, which leads me to believe that these thoughts are the reason, the true reason why the app is being banned. It's not about China collecting our information. It's about China weaponizing the American people against their government under the guise of freedom of speech. That's my opinion. Keeping it real and stay salty, bitches.